This next story is an amazing story of how I saw someone or was involved in someone pretty much being raised almost from the dead. It was on death's bed. Anyway, story starts. I was 16 years old and working for a Canadian Science School mission and doing camp work in the summertime, of course, as their sports director, as I mentioned in a previous video. And we were going up to, we finished in Hope Bay Bible Camp, which is on Penner Island. And for August, we went up to start a new camp. First of all, we stopped at 100 Mile House around there somewhere and actually dug the trail in or beat the trail in to make Lake of the Woods that's up there. And then after we got that all set up and established, we went up to Cecil Lake, where Cecil Lake is up just beyond, about 20-25 miles beyond Fort St. John. So they didn't have enough room in the cars for me to go up with them from Surrey to Fort St. John. So Dave says, you mind taking the bus up? And I said, sure, never taken a bus before, a 16-year-old, raised in the city. Take a bus all the way up far north. Sounds like a fantastic journey. Good luck, city boy. Anyway, Dave says, well, just wait at the bus depot when we get there, have something to eat, and we'll be there probably shortly after you do. So sure enough, I pull into town early in the morning, and I go in for breakfast, and there's the old cafeteria, kind of like Happy Days type thing, you know. This is the 60s we're talking about. And two guys are in a booth beside me, and I think they've been on a bender all night. Anyway, I had my breakfast already there, and these guys started fighting. Well, they not only fought, they went over top of the railing onto my table, knocked my food all over the place. I decided as a city boy, time for me to go wait outside. So that was my first experience of Fort St. John. Fond memory. So Dave Griffin and crew came and picked me up, and we headed out the 25K or 25 miles back then to create Cecil Lake Bible Camp, which was basically on a farmer's field in his area. And we'd be having to build it from scratch with tents and stuff out there. And on the way out there, we had to go through this valley and over a bridge, and they were doing construction work there. And it was pretty rugged. Back then, of course, they didn't, not like today where they, have a nice roadway for you to go on when you go past a construction zone. Back then, it was like we went right in between the big dump trucks and stuff and everything else, and you had to just be careful. But there's a lot of big rocks on the road, and we just had a Valiant I was in, and I had to be careful not to scrape bottom. So Cal and I, he's my age, Cal, and we got out of the car and we're in front and moving big rocks out of the way just so, wouldn't scrape the bottom and puncture the gas tank. Well, of course, as life would have it, it did puncture the gas tank, and we're leaking gas, and what are we going to do? We're in the middle of nowhere, and we got to get out there, and I had this, like always, a great big wad of gum in my mouth. So I said, well, maybe this will work. So I crawled under the car, shook the great big wad of bubble gum out, and stuck it where the hole was. And sure enough, it stopped the leak long enough for us to get all the way to where the camp was. And the farmer, of course, he knew how to fix that kind of thing. He'd drain it and weld it and he had lots of gas there to redo it for us. So that was great. So then we started setting the camp all up, and we're setting it up. But we had one problem, and there was a lot of hornets there, big hornets nests up in the trees, and they'd be this big. And so Cal and I were assigned the job of going out there and getting rid of all the hornets nests, so when the kids came, there wouldn't be a lot of kids getting stung. So of course they gave us, we figured out pretty quick that if you get a long stick and wrap a oily rag around the end of it and light it to make a torch, that you could burn them down real easy. Now this is August in a hayfield. I don't know what we were thinking back then, but here we are lighting torches in a hayfield, burning. It all worked fine. We got rid of all the hornets' nests, and we didn't have any big fires, surprisingly. Two teenage boys with fire, a dangerous scenario. But of course, we got stung a lot. And so Cal and I had a contest as to, you got a contest. How many stings you got? Oh, I got 5 stings. Oh, I got 6. Oh, I got 7 now. And I'll go stir up another hornet's nest. Oh, I got 8 now. And so we were going on with this contest, and we were up in over 20 stings at one point. We were having supper, and big pancake supper. We're eating. And I go, where's Cal? Anybody seen Cal? And now I haven't seen him around. I don't know if he came for supper or not. So I went looking for him, and he was in his tent. And he had got an allergy to the stings after so many stings. and his body was swelling up. And so the camp nurse came and recognized it right away as an allergy, and that he was swelling up, and they didn't have the right stuff to, antibodies, whatever it is, to make it reverse. So we had to get him to the hospital. That was 25 miles away at Fort St. John. So we got in the car, and the nurse was in the passenger seat, and Dave Griffin was driving, and we put Cal in the back seat with his pillow and stuff, and put me on down below there with wet. I had a bucket. A big bucket and cold wet towels to put the wet towels on. We try to keep the swelling down, because if he swelled up too much, he would choke to death, because it would eliminate his whatever to stop breathing. Well, we came to the place where the construction was. Of course, it's nighttime. Not going to matter about whether there's any rocks in the road or whatever there is. We're going through here because we got to get to the hospital. Lord, you got to cover this for us. So we got halfway through the construction zone, and all of a sudden Cal is just barely breathing at all, and kind of let out his last gasp and couldn't breathe anymore. And I just screamed out, "Oh God, please!" And with that, Cal sat up. He just sat straight up and says, "You got my pillow all wet." And he goes, "Well, I'm so sorry. I got your pillow wet, but you're fine, buddy." His swelling was all gone. He was perfectly normal, breathing good. What are we doing here? He had been basically, not unconscious, but might as well have been. And perfectly fine. We went to the hospital anyway. Doctor checked him out, and he says, that was a miracle, because that doesn't just happen. These doesn't without the shot. So they gave him the shots, and they gave us a bunch of other stuff to take back to the camp to make sure they'd be fine. But there was an unbelievable experience where, I cried out to God. And in that instance, a matter of desperation, bang, he was healed like that. Amazing. But sometimes when the wonder of the supernatural of God is so beyond our comprehension that we rebel. We see that a lot in the Bible, where you see, even like go back to my story of Elijah, and he, did the whole big thing on Mount Carmel, and then all of a sudden he runs off because he's afraid, type thing, and things like that happen all the time. And what happened with me is I was, we went down to the next day. We were at the swimming hole on a river, and I promised my mom I wouldn't do anything stupid, and so I thought I wanted to swim across the river, which was stupid, and so I did it. I got to the other side and go, okay, I did it. And what I realized is it was more of a defiant thing, that, I don't know, I felt maybe I'd lost control the other day when God healed me. It was fantastic and everything else, but it was almost too much for me to experience. And so this rebellion or pushback gave me control of to what I wanted to do. Now advance the story some 50 years later, 40 years later, and I was unemployed and stuff like that, and the only opportunity I had was to get a job up in Dawson Creek, which I didn't want to move way back up there. I was in Vancouver at the time, or down that way. Didn't want to move back up north, but it seemed I had the only thing, and God was speaking to me, and he said, well, you haven't dealt with that issue of you crossing that river in defiance of me to do that for what I did for you. So I, told God I was really sorry about that, and agreed I would move up there, and I would go to that river, and I would repent of what I had done. So I was editing that tape last night, and I see the end of it got cut off, so I'll do a little bit extra here for today. As you can see, it's snowing today. So by the way, that's my Garden Railway, and behind us there, if you're wondering what that's at, Black Mountain Railway. If you're interested, check out the YouTube channel on that, Black Mountain Railway. So when I was seeing there, I was going to move to Fort Dawson Creek, which is right beside Fort St. John, and go up there and go to that river. I said, God found my heart sufficient to when I said I would go ahead and do that, and agreed to take that job, that he said I didn't have to. So rather, I got a job in the Okanagan here, which is like the most beautiful spot probably on earth. And not only that, But now that's where my grandkids live. So I got to move, rather than moving way up north and being away from, I didn't have any grandkids at the time, but now that I do, it's great to be close to them. So got a true blessing just to deal with the subject, deal with the thing, and got further God's blessing. Take care. Bye now.